Hello everyone and welcome to the YouTube channel of Get Set Law by IMS. I'm your verbal ability mentor Sanjana Chauhan, and as was the case previously where I discussed a very good 10-month strategy on the English language section of CLAT 2026, I decided to do another session for discussing a very good strategy, 10-month strategy, right, for the logical reasoning section of CLAT 2026 examination. Now what my experience tells me so far is that most of the students are pretty comfortable with English language with RCs. But when it comes to logical reasoning or critical reasoning, they feel quite intimidated by it, right? So much so that they feel it's very mathematical in nature, right? But worry not, I'm here for you. I'll be sharing a couple of, suggestions, some solutions through which you can learn to decode this section, and it will help you prepare more effectively for this area of preparation. Now, the first and the foremost important thing, as is the case with most of the things, is to focus on concept. With logical reasoning, you can't go and directly solve a passage and then you have this question which is asking you to resolve the paradox or the discrepancy between two things mentioned in the passage, because first of all you will never understand what the question is asking, what is the type or category of the question, because logical reasoning is slightly mathematical in nature. There are steps to solving and understanding it, and therefore focusing on concepts is key, right? So for the first 1 to 1.5 months starting now, this is for both beginners and even for people who feel confident, you should still revise the concept, right? So focus on the core topics. Ma'am, what are the core topics? This is important. This is a recap of everything that has been asked in CLAT logical reasoning section so far. You have what is an argument, right? What is the premise? What is the conclusion? What are inferences, right? Which are your unstated conclusions. Very important is what is an assumption. One thing all my students tell me is, ma'am, I don't know why, but I'm always making goof ups in assumption questions. I even understand the concept, but I don't know how to pick that very option which is supposed to be correct, right? Then you have strengthen, weaken. Again, what if we have options that are very close to each other and very confusing? It becomes so difficult to choose the correct option between the two. Again, all of this is very conceptual, very logical in nature, and therefore you have to learn what these things are, right? Then we have paradoxes, we have fallacies, so many fallacies. Bandwagon fallacy is there, hasty generalization is there, alphabet soup is there. I know sounds fancy, but when you come to us, we will teach you all of this, right? And then we also have a method of reasoning, right? So focus on this. How to focus on this is, for example, you pick up any one particular topic, you give it about 2 days, right, to prepare for it. First, just attend the class, right? Whosoever is teaching you, or even if you're just self-studying, right, just focus on what the topic is. There are, I'm sure, step-by-step, discussions of the topic, and then there might be a couple of examples, some questions on it. Once you're done with that, you can go on and solve more questions on that topic. So for one topic, let's just say we have arguments. What is the premise? What is the conclusion? Give it 2 days. When I mean 2 days, that is not all 48 hours. On a daily basis, I am assuming if you are school going students, you might be able to take 1 hour time out from your schedule to preparing for it. So maybe 2 hours like that is what it's going to take you to prepare for one topic, right? So develop a strong foundation by fully understanding the core concepts before attempting questions. Do not jump to solving questions. This is something I'll absolutely not advise to anybody. Then, like I mentioned, 1 to 1.5 months for concept mastery. See, I'm just imposing a time limit is because then at least you can just use the remaining time to focus more on practicing questions on it, right? So break down each topic and learn through examples. This will ensure that you grasp the nuances, the subtleties, the differences in the question types and how to approach it. It is something which will come with consistent practice to you. Understand the concepts, so it will help you in the long term as well, right? And once that is done, that is when you can start putting your knowledge into perspective, start applying it by solving questions. Choose any one topic. Today I choose a topic on assumptions, right? An assumption is that which bridges the gap between a premise's conclusion is what you've learned, right? And then you solve a question on it, and then dedicate 2 days to mastering it. 2 days, again I repeat, not the full 48 hours, maybe 3-4 hours spread across 2 days, right? And then you can focus on practicing more examples, more questions on it, right? And identify key patterns. A lot of times, if you're actually acing critical reasoning section or logical reasoning, as it's known in CLAT, you'll understand that a lot of questions come under the same family, same type. So that is something that you can also tell intuitively, but that comes by virtue of practicing, right? And solve 5 to 6 questions daily to reinforce the learnings. So for example, for the last 1 week, I've learned what an argument is, what an inference is, what an assumption is. Now it's not like once I've done it, I will not touch that topic again and I think I'm going to remember it for all eternity. It doesn't happen like that. For you to remember something for a lifestyle, for a lifetime, it's important that you practice it for about 6 months, right? So solve 5 to 6 questions daily. And for critical reasoning, believe me, critical reasoning is, quite small and brief compared to reading comprehension. Sometimes a passage can also be a 3-4 liner passage. So it's not like it's going to take you the entire day's time to solve it, right? At max 20-25 minutes also for 5-6 questions, if you're focusing on the small passage questions here. So you have to practice with focuses because you don't have to make silly mistakes, right? You end up making more silly mistakes if you're reading in a very distracted manner. So just shun away all sort of, social media engagement and just focus on the task that is there in front of you. It's just a 10 months thing and then you can just enjoy your life because you're going to have a very good college in you as well, right? And then you have mock analysis and miscellaneous practice. The reason I want to cite mock analysis as important here is that once you've understood the concept, you start taking your sectional tests, you start taking the IMS, benchmarking tests, and then ultimately you get to know about your performance through mocks. That's the best way, especially relative to those of your peers. Now, once you're done taking a mock, you analyze it and you find out that for me in critical reasoning section is not happening. I'm not scoring well there. Out of 24, max I'm getting is 9-10. Right? And then you bring it to me for doubt clarification. One thing I'll tell you is to first observe the pattern. Pattern is what is the type or category of question that you're always making mistakes in. Sometimes it can be assumptions. So it means assumptions is not your strong suit. For which again I'd suggest you to go back to the concept and before you take a mock, solve about 20-30 questions on it for it to cement in your mind so that you'll never make a mistake there again. Right? Sometimes it's also with respect to choosing the better option between two options. So for that we have strategies as well. More of it will come later, right? Create a dedicated notebook to record these errors. Yes, I always suggest all my students to create separate notebooks for doubt solving as well. For logical reasoning especially, because you can just segregate the entire topic into small, chapters and, concepts. So you can just table it in a very impactful manner. So create a separate notebook to record your errors and focus on improving them. Now, that is not the end of it. If you've taken a look at CLAT 24 and 25 paper, there was a big surprise or shocker for the students. For the logical reasoning section has always given you surprises, much to everybody's consternation. CLAT 24 had a question on decision making, which even the consortium did not mention. Right? And nobody had any, estimate of what decision making is. It's close to critical reasoning, but for the most part, it is not as well, which is why a lot of students made multiple goof ups there and they ended up losing a lot of marks there. 3-4 marks really matter. And CLAT 25 surprisingly gave you a circular arrangement question. Right? Now everybody thinks that your typical analytical reasoning, logical reasoning in the form of coding, decoding, blood puzzles, family relations is ownly ours in ALET and other law entrance examination. But no, even CLAT did ask you a circular arrangement question because nobody had practiced thoroughly. They ended up losing marks there. So that was problematic. So over and above the topics that I've mentioned, make sure that you do a thorough practice of decision making and not just circular arrangements, but a logical reasoning as a whole. Critical reasoning and analytical reasoning together this time, because we do not know what surprises CLAT 2026 might have for us for the logical reasoning section, right? And it goes on without saying, keep on reading every day, because once you read, you become more comfortable with the reading speed and understanding of the passage, and even even for logical reasoning, who is saying that we don't have to understand the passage? You definitely need to understand the passage, what the premises are, what the conclusions are, what the unstated premises are, what the unstated conclusions are, and only then you can solve the question correctly, right? So this is all that you should be doing for 10 months, right? I hope you enjoyed the session. Any comments, any suggestions, any clarifications you need are always welcome in the comment section. We are available on every social media platform. You can feel free to connect with any of the mentors representing the team. Thank you so much and have a great day.